Hello everybody and welcome back to DIY DIECAST. My name is Joe and this is the ultimate wheel swap video. Today I'm going to take you through 3 different kinds of wheel swaps. I'm going to show you how we used to do them in the good old days. I'm going to show you some easy wheel swaps to do and some that are a little bit more difficult depending on the vehicle that you're using. Every wheel swap has some kind of little difference to it. And I hope that I'll be thorough enough in this video to show you how to navigate all those different scenarios that you might find yourself in while you're doing a wheel swap. Nobody swaps more wheels than DIY DIECAST. Take a lot of pride in saying that. I probably wheel swap too many and make too many wheel swap videos. Don't believe me? Go back in my older content and look at all my shorts videos of just wheel swaps. Lots of 20 to 30 second videos of all kinds of different makes and models, cars, trucks, and more that have been wheel swapped. I think you'll find them very interesting. I put some music to them, kind of make them a little bit more entertaining to watch. And there's just a lot of it there. I think you'll find that very entertaining. And also, subscribing is free. If you want to go ahead and do that, you won't miss out when the next wheel swap video drops. You never know what I'm going to wheel swap next. But that being said, all the wheel swaps that I've done, all the wheel swap videos that I've put out there, I still get a lot of questions from you viewers on what to do in this scenario, or what to do if this or that happens, or what if I want to change the wheels after I've already wheel swapped them. And it made me realize each one of those videos I've done, I probably haven't done a good enough job of showing the intricate details and the different scenarios that you could run into, and that's what this video is about. To show you all kinds of problems you could run into, different kinds of vehicles that are in different difficulty levels when it comes to your wheel swaps, and the tools you'll need, the axles that are available, and some of the wheels. So we'll get right into all that. I'm going to go ahead and put you on pause, get you looking down at the table so you can see what we're doing. We'll just get right into it. Hang tight. Alright, I'm back. Well, half of me anyway. Okay, so let's start with how we used to do things. And I don't know, maybe some of you guys still do it this way. Maybe I can talk you out of it after we talk about this, because I hardly ever do wheel swaps this way anymore, since there is a much easier way to do them these days. But in the good old days, when you wanted to swap the wheels on your die-cast vehicles, you had to do this, okay? So this is a Johnny Lightning Monopoly Suburban that I took apart because I couldn't stand all the Monopoly decals on it and everything. And I wanted to lift this and make a 4-wheel drive out of it anyway. So I took this apart because it's almost ready for paint and to move on with the project. But while I have it handy, I'll show you what we used to have to do and the hard way to wheel swap, really. So you had to take your vehicle and you had to drill out those rivets on the base that hold the car together, okay? And then you had to tap out the posts that are inside of the vehicle here with a tap. And then you had to see, because when you buy most of your wheels, they come on an axle already, or if you were using the ones off of another car, you'd have to take that apart and pull the whole axle out. You would lay it down in between the grooves, and most die casts that you take apart, they all look the same. Lay your axle right down in there. Then you would have to put your car all back together again, and then screw it back together after you did all that work to tap those holes. And that's how you used to do wheel swaps. That was all we had. Technology has come a long way, you'll see. But you had to take your car apart, do all those steps, tap it, drill it out, put new screws in when you're done. Really compromising the integrity of your die cast when you do that. I don't even take them apart unless I'm painting them. That's about the only way. gotta take a vehicle apart anymore, or sometimes for suspension lifts. But that was the old school, hard way to do a wheel swap. Now maybe you want to do this kind of wheel swap again. Maybe you're taking one apart to paint it and you want to. So what you can do is you can get, and in this package over here I have a bunch of these, even though I don't use them, they're from the old days, of the solid axles. And that's just an axle that is solid, and you would take your wheels here, for example, and you would slide them on your axle. This one's going to be a bear. I think it's got a burr on the end of it. Let me get another axle here. I got one laying here. Yep. So you would put your wheel on the axle, and then all you could do was take your needle nose pliers and pinch it, kind of twist it the best you could, because you can't mushroom the end of these axles like Mattel or Hot Wheels can in their factory. It's some kind of voodoo magic, however they mushroom them axles. So you had to just do that, and you had a really slinky wheel that slid around all over the place. And wheel swaps back in the old days were really not that quality. And then you could slide it in, you put your wheel on the other side, and do the same thing and crimp it, okay? Now that will work, and that's the way we did things for a long time. But if you ever wanted to change the wheels and wheel swap it again after you did that, then you had to cut the axle off or take the whole vehicle apart again just to change the wheels again. And if you're not familiar with this process, you're going to see why that's a lot more work than we have to do these days. So that was the way that we used to do things. And now moving right along to what you can do today. Alright, so this is a good example of an easy wheel swap. This is the totally awesome gloss orange Porsche 911 Carrera. Nice easy wheel swap. The fenders are wide open in the front and back, same size wheels. We're going to get into swapping this one with the new hollow axles and pins, and then we're also going to get into the more difficult, where you have the staggered wheels, the big ones in the back, little ones in the front. The fenders kind of cover the rear wheel. A lot harder to do than when you've got just the basic open wheel, open fenders there. So I'll show you how to do both without having to take your car apart, using the new hollow axles and pin setup. And this is all I use these days. There's the axles. You see the little pins in there, and I'll show you exactly how to do that and some of the things that you will run into. Alright, what you will need for a wheel swap: obviously you'll need some wheels, you'll need some axles, you'll need some cutters that can really get in there and cut those wheels off the old ones. And I always lay down an old work towel so that while I'm swapping wheels on the vehicle, I can put it down on there and I don't scratch the roof up, and it'll be fine while I'm working on it. So go ahead and we'll get the easy one out of the way first. I want to scratch that one now that I'm off the towel. Okay, let's get this Porsche open. Man, that is sharp. That's a great looking paint job on that Porsche 911 Carrera. They painted on the headlights and got the badges, and even the door handles are detailed on that. Very, very nice. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cutters with the very pointy tips. Now these are broken. Don't pay any attention to that. You do enough wheel swaps, you're going to keep going through these and you're going to break them. Trust me. You stick it in deep in that fender well there, and you just cut. And get ready. You see how they went flying there? Maybe you didn't. boy, the tension on them axles is like a garage door spring. They really go flying right off of there. So you stick them down in there and just cut. I don't have it that time. There it goes. You hear them things bouncing off the wall? Boy, they really go flying everywhere. I'll have to find those later. But, so we got our old wheels off. And there we are. Okay. Now, all I need to do is select a set of wheels that I want to use for this wheel swap. I'll go with these real rubber tires, classic deep dish 5-star. They just look good on any sports car and a lot of other vehicles. So I'll get those ready here. Got a lot of them. Count out 4 here. Swap enough vehicles, you'll start getting lots of wheels and custom wheels, and put yourself together a nice wheel swap kit there. Okay, and then my hollow axles that I was showing you earlier. Go ahead and open these up. All right. So these axles, and I don't know if you'd ever be able to see it, but you gotta trust me. These axles are hollow, okay? When you order these, when you go shopping for them, they'll say hollow axles. Those are the ones you want. I always order 25mm for my 1/64 scale diecast. They'll, in most cases, actually be too long for most of them, and you just about to trim them down to the correct length for each vehicle. Sometimes the front axle is even a different length from the back axle. And so what I do is I take my axle, my hollow one, and I just lay it on top of where it would go, and I see how much longer it is, and I slide it over to about where the wheels would be, and that gives me an idea of how much I need to trim this axle. So I've done so many of these I can just about eyeball it. That's what I'm going to do with this one. I think I can at least get it close for making this finishing this video's purpose. But so it's too long. I need to trim it down to get it to work for this car. And what I don't want to do to shorten this axle is I don't want to just go cutting it, okay? Because it's hollow, picture what happens if you took, for example, a plastic drinking straw, and you took a pair of pliers or cutters and you went to try to cut it. That plastic would bend and pinch. And the same thing will happen with these little metal tubes, and then you'll just pinch it closed when you cut it, and you'll never be able to get your end pin in that holds the wheel in, and you'll see this later on when we get to that step, but you won't be able to get that in there if that's pinched closed. So what you'll need to do when you shorten the length of your axle is I use a Dremel tool with a stone wheel bit, and I just, like I say, I'm gonna eyeball this. I think I can get it right, or at least close enough for this video's purpose, and I just go to grinding these short like this. Okay, now I kind of bent over a little bit when I worked on it on that one side. I'm just gonna, till that piece falls off, and just clean it up a little bit. And there I have my shortened axle, and the hole is open in the end. By grinding, not by cutting. Alright. Now what I'll do is I'll go ahead, and with your hollow axles will come these little end pins. And what you want to do is take your cutters, and you want to put a slight bend in them, just ever so slight. Doesn't have to be a big one. and then take your hollow axle tube and slide it in the end of the axle. And it should be a little hard going in there because it being hard to go in makes it hard to come out. And that's the reason it's going to hold your wheels on, is because of that little bend that you put into it. Don't skip that step. You need to put that little bend in it. So before I put that pin all the way in there, you can see I have it inserted into the axle. And now I'm going to go ahead and press it all the way in. And I'm going to have to use something to kind of beat it in there because it's bent. But now it's going to be, it will come right out there, but it's going to be hard to do. Then I'll take and slide my wheel over the axle. And that pin that I bent and put in there now holds that wheel on. Good. It's not coming off. Now I could pull on it with some force and it would. And if I ever wanted to do a different wheel change down the road, then that's how I would do it. Now in your car you have that little hole where your old axle was. You just take your axle and your wheel, slide it right on there. Just like that. Now we'll put the wheel on the other side and put a pin in there to hold it on too. I'll go ahead and slide my other wheel on there on the other side. And you're working with small parts, so there we go. Got it on there. Now I'll take and bend me another pin to put in that other side. And just I'll push that right on the other side of that hollow axle there. That's what I'm doing here. And like I said, you know, I got that little bend in there, so it should be a little bit hard to do. And that's exactly why we put the bend in there, because it makes it hard to come out and it'll hold your wheels on. If you didn't do that, you would have to super glue the pin in there, and then you're just going to get it on your wheels, and then your wheels won't spin. You want to do a nice job on your wheel swaps and have your wheels still spin. Alright. Say very small pieces. It ain't going to be the easiest thing you've ever done, but I got that pin in there now. And now what I'm going to do is, should have had this already ready to go, but I'm going to take a screwdriver, very small one. I'm going to put my fingernail on that other end of the axle to hold it, and I'll press in the pin on that other side with the screwdriver. So it's all the way in there. Okay, now you've got our front axle on, and we're looking good. What do you think of that? Okay, now you do the same thing with the back. I won't do it to save time for this video purpose or whatnot. Don't want to end up making a 1-hour video on wheel swaps, but so then another benefit of swapping your wheels this way, other than you don't have to take the entire vehicle apart. You see how much faster that is, and how much nicer you can keep the car if you don't take it apart. But if I ever wanted to change the wheels down the road, I could, without cutting this axle again, and I could even reuse this axle, because all you have to do, and you have to apply a little bit of pressure, but you can pull your wheel right off again. Okay, it was hard to do, and it will stay on there unless you really pull on it, and that's what that bend and that little pin was for. So then all you'd have to do, grab your different wheels, rebend your pin again, and push on your different set of wheels, and you can keep wheel swapping your car using this method, with the same axle, just different wheels, over and over and over again, without ever taking that car apart. Okay, and that's the way that I do wheel swaps today. It's just that simple. Now, moving up in difficulty level just a notch. If you have staggered wheels on a vehicle, such as this 67 Chevy C10, looking sharp on the short card, it's from the HW Flame series, but it has staggered wheels on it. Staggered meaning it has the big wheels in the back, see it's tubbed out there, and the small ones in the front. Whenever you have the cars that have the bigger wheels in the back, you typically have the fenders in the way there. So I know a lot of people say, well, Joe, you can't do that wheel swap like we did the last one on the Porsche because you've got that fender well in the way. That's true, but we can still swap it the same way without taking this car apart, and I'll show you how to do that now. I can hear some of you now saying, no, don't open that, it's the 67 Chevy C10 on the short card. Well, I was going to do it anyway, so it'll be fine. I don't collect Hot Wheels for their monetary value. I collect what I like, and I like to open them up and enjoy them. And wheel swap them too. Alright, so the wheel removal process goes the same way. Take my cutters, get them down in there, and I'll try to keep them from flying across the room this time. I kind of cut my hand around them. There's the front axle off, and here is the rear axle off. Okay, man, that is a sharp looking C10. Love the chrome interior. I usually don't like it, but man, it works with that paint job and those decals. Absolutely gorgeous. Alright, so now here's a staggered set of wheels. You got the bigger ones, real rubber tires, 5-star drag lights, and then the small ones in the front. They come on the axles in case you do want to take the whole car apart, lay them in there, and then put it all back together. But I don't do that. I use the hollow axles, so I just go ahead and cut the wheels off of the old axle. Get rid of those. I'll find them in my tow some other day. Here's the small ones for the front. Alright, now the wheel swap for the front goes just the same way that it did for the Porsche. Nice open fender wells there, small wheels, no problem, okay? But when we put the axle on the rear wheel, we'll start to see where we run into the problems. And you can tell by this vehicle too, we're going to need a much shorter axle, as those are very big wheels that fill in there. So I'm going to lay my axle down on top, just like I did on the Porsche. Get an idea of what size I need to trim this axle down to. I think I can remember that. Okay, I'm going to get my Dremel and shorten this axle. Needs a little more cleanup work there. Okay. So now I'm going to take another one of my hold-in end pins, put that slight bend in it. Doesn't have to be much, and you don't want to bend it so much you can't get it in there. After a little bit of practice doing enough of these, you'll just be able to figure it out. But I'm going to put my wheel on that axle and go ahead and put my pin in the end. Like that, and then I'm going to tap that down in there, and I have to because it's bent. It's hard to press in, and I've got my axle on that wheel then. Just that easy. Okay, now I'll show you what happens if you try to just slide that in there. Sometimes you get lucky, and that one went right in there. So that's a good aftermarket wheel fit. But what you'll need to do if you can't get that wheel in there because of them fenders is just this. Take the wheel off of your axle. Just have your axle and put it in first. Just like that. And then put your wheel on one side. Hard to do things. Things are so small. Put your wheel all the way down in there and then slide your axle. I'll have to get my eyeballs on this closer to be able to do it. But after you put the wheel in first, then you can slide your axle through it, see? Then you put your end pin in on this side, push the axle through far enough on the other side so that you can drop your entire wheel down in there on the other side and then push it through on that side. Gotta get it up close enough to see it. Okay, there it is. It's sticking in my finger there. There we go. Well, I had it. What's going on now? Bear with me through the technical difficulties here. Like I say, every wheel swap is a little bit different. And you'll run into these situations where you'll have to get a little bit closer and whatnot, get your eyeballs on things a little better. I gotta tell you, I think the problem is this wheel. Okay, so what's happening is sometimes you'll get, I guess it's good that happened, you'll see this problem too and what to do about it. Sometimes you'll get one of these new wheels and where they drilled them out, they'll have a little burr in them. So take you an axle, yep, that was hard to push through there, and just kind of work it through there like a pipe cleaner. Get those burrs off of there. Now it should slip right on. Oh, silly me. You know what? It's not going on because I left that end pin in there that I put in at first. So you put your axle in, drop your wheel on that wheel well first. You can slide it through your wheel on that side, put the pin in, push that axle all the way over, lay your wheel down in the wheel well there, and then push the axle through the other side. It should go a lot smoother now that I've got that pin out of there. Alright, there it is. Yeah, thought it was. I keep pushing it through the slot in the wheel. Alright. And then you take your other pin and then put it on the other side now. And that's how you do those short axles, that it's hard to get that wheel in and out of there because the fender blocks them so much. Another good example of when you would have to do that and it would be really hard to do is, for example, let's see here, this Torino. You can see it covers almost half of the wheel. That's where you would have to use this method right here. Now I wish I would have used this car instead of this truck, but you get the idea now. And that's the 3 different scenarios that I can see that you're going to run into most times. Hopefully these techniques and what I've showed you will help you through that. Should be a lot that helped you out there. I recommend the 25mm axles whenever you're doing these hollow wheel swaps. Don't forget to put the bend in the pin. When you're shortening the axle, remember, grind it, don't cut it, or you'll pinch it and you'll just make it impossible to get those end pins in like you seen me do. And your wheel swap should go pretty smooth. And like anything else, your first wheel swap will be a little bit tougher than the second one. The third one will be easier than the second one. And the more you do them, you'll just get better and better and better at it. So hopefully you found this video somewhat entertaining and mostly helpful, and that answered a lot of your questions about wheel swaps. You can always send me a message in the comments section if you do have any questions. I always respond to all the comments that I get. I'm happy to get them from you guys, happy to help if I can. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, do a lot of wheel swaps, and you don't want to miss any of them. So subscribe so that you get notified when the next wheel swaps drop, and all the other customizing we do, and even the long form videos that are out there as well too on our channel. And I'll leave you now with showing you some examples of some beautiful wheel swapped cars that I already have here on the wall. They're over here on this other side. Starting up here with the Dodge pickup truck wheel swapped. All these I'm showing you have been wheel swapped. Just looking fantastic. Some ideas of what you can do once you get into wheel swapping your diecast. Alright, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.